You know, the most incredible journey any of us will ever take isn't some trip around the world. Nope, it's the 9-month odyssey from being just a single cell to a breathing, thinking human being. Today, we're going to unpack that remarkable story. It is truly a masterpiece of biological engineering.
So we all know the end result, right? It looks something like this, a perfectly formed fetus just developing safely. But the real story, the one that's filled with just unbelievable odds, precise timing, and amazing biological teamwork, well, that starts long, long before this. So the big question is, how does this 9-month journey truly begin? To answer that, we're going to follow the whole story right from the very beginning. We'll start with the overall blueprint, then we'll meet the key players, the reproductive systems, and see how they create the essential ingredients. Then we get to the really exciting part, the moment of fertilization. From there, we'll follow the 9-month journey of development, and finally, we'll arrive at the miracle of birth. All right, so let's start with the big picture, the blueprint for how this all works. This will give us a nice, high-level map of the entire process, stage by stage. This whole biological saga really unfolds in 6 major acts. First up, you've got gametogenesis. That's just a fancy word for creating the star players, the sperm and the egg. Then comes insemination, getting the sperm where it needs to go. After that, fertilization, which is that incredible moment of fusion. If that works, the new embryo has to stick the landing with implantation attaching to the uterine wall. And that kicks off gestation, the whole 9-month development period. And finally, parturition, the birth. It's like a perfect domino rally. Each step has to succeed for the next one to even have a shot.
So now that we have the roadmap, let's meet the essential players who are actually responsible for pulling it all off, the male and female reproductive systems.
Okay, what's really fascinating here is the totally different strategy each system uses. You've got the male system with the testes, which is basically built for continuous mass production of sperm from puberty onward. But the female system, centered on the ovaries, is completely different. It works on a monthly cycle, carefully maturing just one single egg or ovum at a time. It's really a story of quantity versus precision. So looking closer at the male system, the testes have 2 really critical jobs. First, they're the factories for making sperm. That process is called spermatogenesis. And second, they produce androgens, the key male hormones. Now, here's a cool little detail. They're located in the scrotum, outside the body, to stay about 2 degrees cooler than our core temperature. Why? Well, it turns out the machinery for making sperm is super sensitive to heat, and that little temperature drop is absolutely crucial for producing healthy, viable sperm. And on the female side, you have the ovaries. Just like the testes, they've got a dual role. They produce the female gamete, the ovum, and they secrete those all-important steroid hormones, estrogen and progesterone. These hormones don't just help the egg mature, they basically orchestrate the entire monthly cycle, preparing the whole system for a potential pregnancy.
Okay, so we've met the systems. Now let's zoom in even further, down to the cellular level, and see how they actually create the key ingredients, the sperm and the egg.
And this just brilliantly shows how different their production lines are. Spermatogenesis, making sperm, kicks off at puberty and just keeps going, turning one parent cell into 4 small, identical sperm. But oogenesis, making an egg, is a whole other story. Get this, it actually starts when a female is still a fetus in her mother's womb. She is literally born with all the egg cells she will ever have, and each cycle produces just one large ovum. It's incredible.
This whole process in females is governed by the menstrual cycle. You can think of it as a monthly renovation project, really. For about 28 days, the body is working like crazy to prepare the lining of the uterus, the endometrium, to create the perfect nutrient-rich home for a fertilized egg. And the main event of this whole cycle? That's ovulation, the moment a mature egg is released from the ovary, ready for its big moment.
The release of that egg sets the stage for what is really the climax of our story so far, the moment of fertilization. You could call it the spark of life.
To really understand the incredible odds we're talking about, you have to start with this number. During a single insemination, somewhere between 200 and 300 million sperm begin an epic journey. That's more than the entire population of many countries, all competing in one single high-stakes race.
And what a journey it is. They have to get through the cervix, swim across the vast expanse of the uterus, and then pick the correct fallopian tube. It's a journey that is absolutely fraught with peril. It's an unbelievably tough and competitive race against a hostile environment, and only a tiny, tiny fraction of those original hundreds of millions even make it to the finish line, the ovum.
And out of those hundreds of millions that started, and maybe the few thousand that actually reach the egg, only one will succeed. The second that single sperm breaks through the ovum's outer layer, a chemical reaction happens that instantly blocks all the others from getting in. From 300 million down to just one, the odds are just astronomical.
Now, at this exact moment of fertilization, something absolutely fundamental is decided: the sex of the baby. And as this quote makes clear, it's actually determined by the father. Here's why. Every egg always carries an X chromosome. Sperm, on the other hand, can carry either an X or a Y. So, if a sperm with an X chromosome wins the race, you get XX, a girl. If a sperm with a Y chromosome gets there first, you get XY, a boy. It's decided in that split second.
So once that one sperm fertilizes the egg, our story moves into its longest and honestly most dramatic chapter, the 9 months of development. This is the incredible transformation from a single cell called a zygote into a fully formed fetus.
The rate of development here is just mind-boggling. After only 1 month, the embryo's heart is already formed and beating. By the end of month 2, tiny little limbs and digits have appeared. At just 12 weeks, most of the major organ systems are already in place. The first little fluttering movements are usually felt around month 5. By 24 weeks, the eyelids separate and delicate eyelashes form. And by the end of month 9, the fetus is fully developed and ready for life on the outside.
Now, none of this would be possible without this amazing organ, the placenta. It's a temporary organ that actually forms and connects the fetus to the mother. You can think of it as the ultimate life support system. It delivers oxygen and nutrients through the umbilical cord, and just as important, it takes away carbon dioxide and waste products.
And so we come back to this image, but now we see it with totally new eyes, don't we? We understand the unbelievable journey it took to get to this point. We see the fetus developing safely inside the uterus, connected to that life-giving placenta by the umbilical cord. Every single milestone we just talked about is happening right here, inside this protected world.
This brings us to the grand finale of this 9-month journey, the moment of birth and the beginning of a whole new life. We'll cover both parturition, the act of childbirth, and lactation.
So, childbirth, or parturition, is actually triggered by signals from the fully developed fetus itself. This causes the release of a hormone called oxytocin, which creates the powerful uterine contractions needed to deliver the baby. Then, right after birth, lactation begins, and the very first milk that's produced is this amazing substance called colostrum. It is packed with antibodies and nutrients, basically acting as the newborn's first immunization and giving it a vital head start in a brand new world.
You know, when you just step back and look at the whole picture, it is truly breathtaking. From a race that starts with 300 million competitors, to the intricate hormonal dance of the menstrual cycle, to the explosive growth in the womb, the journey of human reproduction is nothing short of a biological masterpiece.
It's just such an incredibly complex and beautiful process. So after seeing it all laid out from that single cell all the way to a new life, I've got to ask you, which part of this whole intricate journey do you find the most remarkable?